another young and upcoming fighter who a lot of people are wondering when we're going to see him back in the ring. That's Ryan Garcia. Is there any word or anything you could say as far as when he's going to be coming back, and if he is, who would you guys be looking to get him in the ring with?
Look, Ryan's back in the gym, which is the most important thing. He's feeling good. He's hungry. He wants to get back in the ring. He's out in San Diego in camp already training. And we've been back and forth with his team and looking at a return. Yes, October, November looks like when he'll be back in the ring. And we're just as excited as everybody else wanting to see him back in there. As far as who, look, Jojo had that big win over Fortuna, and originally the thoughts were, okay, Jojo, you'll take this fight because it's available. He raised his hand and says, hey, I'll fight Fortuna. And the idea was, okay, regardless, win, lose, or draw, you'll go back down to 130, which he could still make comfortably. Once he won, it's like, well, you know what? There's bigger fights here for you.
Yeah, why not today?
What do you want to do? And he says, I'll go up to 140 if need be. That's Jojo. That's Jojo. I'll go up to 140 if need be. I said, no, we don't need to go 140. Let's stay at 135. But he's ready. He's ready. He has a cut. He's healing. But even Jojo, a week later, was jogging and running, and he's keeping the weight down. He's going in the gym. Obviously, there's no sparring right now because of the cut. He's letting that heal. But he's staying active, which is the most important, which is the best way to say, I learned from my mistakes. Look what I'm doing now so it won't happen again. Mm-hmm. That's the best way to answer that, or to answer the critics is, it's not going to happen again. And that shows the motivation of after hitting the floor or hitting rock bottom, how they come back and say, no, this is not happening again. I'm not going to lose a belt because of weight, or I'm not going to struggle in the last few days to make weight. Jojo has been back in the gym 2-3 times a week, just staying loose, staying ready.
Absolutely. Now, you brought up Jojo, so there's possible fights out there. We heard about, you just mentioned Ryan, or I believe he's the mandatory for the WBC champ Devin Haney. Has there been any talks with Devin Haney Promotions or Bill Haney, whoever is in charge over there, about a possible fight with Jojo and Haney?
No, not yet. I mean, obviously what we've seen on Twitter, they've been going back and forth, throwing back and forth to each other, but no serious talks, because, I mean, we're letting them heal. We're going to talk to him and his team pretty soon as well.
Okay, it seems as if the WBC title has almost been kind of a gift and a curse. What is, do you think, the reason for the bad luck behind, Haney not defending his title, not getting his mandatories in there?
Let's remember Haney was out for a while too, because he had to have shoulder surgery. So it's how it's played out over the short period of time. Oh, nobody wants to fight that. He's been fighting, and then he had that, I think it was close to a year off. He was supposed to fight Luke Campbell. That fight didn't happen. He was supposed to fight Fortuna. That fight didn't happen. But then there was that injury where he had to have surgery. So he was out for a while others were fighting. Then he comes back in, reinstated. And it's like, I don't buy the most avoided, because look, Jorge Linares said, hey, I'll fight him. And Jorge's 35, 36 years old. If Jorge wouldn't, and I'm not bringing an excuse, all credit for Devin, because I didn't think he could beat Jorge Linares. And I'll say it again. I thought Jorge was going to even stop him, because Devin hadn't fought somebody of the skill level. And that's what I'm saying. Gradually, you got to be building up to it. You can't just go from, all right, I'm fighting this guy, and then I'm going to fight this guy. And Jorge, although he's 35, was coming in at one of his best moments right now, because knowing that the time is short, he's prepared properly, he's mentally and physically where he needs to be, and he's setting down on his punches now. People, Jorge has no chin. Jorge, everybody can get caught. Most of Jorge's knockouts were in the early rounds. He only got stopped by DeMarco in the late rounds because of cuts. So it wasn't like he has no chin. He's proven. He got hit with some good uppercuts from Devin. He was never really hurt. What I believe hurt Jorge was he got COVID when he was going to fight Fortuna. That delayed it. He was out for 15 months. At his age, it took him about 5 rounds to warm up and get going. So you gave up 5 rounds already, and now it's like catch up. And once he got going, once his hands started going off, I mean, he caught him and hurt him. Obviously, the third man in the ring let him hold so much. But look, that's done and over. All props to Devin. But I don't think he's the most avoided. I just think, you know what, he has a style that's going to be difficult to beat. And others are saying, well, if I can go toe-to-toe with this guy or that guy, well, maybe I'll forget that. And I have read and heard, well, you know, fighters today don't want to fight for the titles. You know what? There's so many belts out there now that's not a bad thing. Let's start fighting the good fights, the better fighters, or you know, forget sometimes the titles, and just as long as it's a fight that you want to see, A versus B, at times you're going to say, you know what, whether there's a belt or not, I'm still going to watch. And that's where we're right now. I think we got to reduce it with the help of all the promoters, of all the organizations. It's just so confusing to the fans when you have so many champions in each division. Remember back in the 80s, I love referencing everything to the 80s. You had 2 world champions, and in some cases only one, because he unified it, and he was the great champion because he beat everybody, and that's how it should be. I'd love to go back to that. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but it would be beautiful to happen that way.
Hagler Hearns, Sugar Ray Hearns being a great example of that one, right? So let's look at the Jojo Diaz picture, because I'm getting questions about it in the chat. You know, Devin Haney on one side, Ryan Garcia on the other. If it's even, let's just call it 50-50. Or what do you think? Is it 60%? He might be going to Ryan, 40% he might be going to Haney. Is it 50-50? Is it 70-30? What are your thoughts?
I mean, obviously, when we sit down with him, him and his team are going to have a lot to say. Each fighter knows what style they're suited for, what style's better for them, who they feel they could be. I think when I sit down with Jojo, when we sit down, he's going to say, I don't care. I can beat both of them because that's just Jojo. But it's no secret. I mean, which fight is going to be easier to make? Right. Ryan Garcia, because he's with Goldenboy, so it's easier, and it's not about they're just keeping it in house. No, it's easier to make when you're dealing with somebody, you know, the contracts and the demands are going to be, you know what, within the reason and within the ability to make a fight.